Hello everybody, welcome back to channel. Thanks for tuning in again for another weekly update on news and information about DCS World. I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog. Give me that back. Just give me that. Thank you very much, Ivan. My name is Michael. Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, this is Prickly Hedgehog. It's good to be back, and I hope this video finds you well wherever you are. It's been a busy week for me, and a very busy week for Eagle Dynamics and the team there. Yes, released finally the Mi-24P. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and various other developments that are going on in the game right now. What a massive patch it was this week. Huge update across the board for lots and lots of aircraft, ranging particularly with the F-14B was a highlight there in terms of some new physics that they've been working on. And in here we're talking about the burble at the back of the boat, and also things like the tail hook, which can now be damaged and actually wrenched off. So those are just some of the many updates that we've had this week, notwithstanding of course Mi-24P Hind, or Hind as we say here in the West. Let's kick off this week's newsletter. Alright, well, let's delve into the big news this week, which of course was the Hind. Now, this dominated the news this week in many respects because we had been expecting this to be released as part of this quarter's major updates. But of course there was a massive patch too, and I can't ignore that. The work that Eagle Dynamics has done in terms of fixing bugs and also injecting new material into various modules, not to mention also third-party people like Heat Blur Simulations, which has done a tremendous amount of work on the F-14. So we'll come back to that, but we'll start with this Hind, which, well, bottom line, it's absolutely fantastic. Now, they spent, according to the newsletter this week, 50,000 man-hours on this helicopter. Of course, it shows. The exterior is fantastic. It looks really visceral. They've done a nice job of faithfully recreating this iconic attack helicopter from a bygone era, the Cold War era. Many of you growing up in the same timeline as me will remember images of this helicopter in Afghanistan in the 80s, turning up in movies and Hollywood legends, and it's been around for many decades, and it's nice to see it, like I said, faithfully recreated. I was really impressed actually with the interior, and there actually is a video around on YouTube. It's the Mi-24 walk around. I think it's of a later variant because it has the nose turret. Nevertheless, when you look at the images, for example, the illuminated buttons in the cockpit, the lighting that they've got going on there, Eagle Dynamics has really done a nice job of recreating that. And those little things, that attention to detail, just lend itself again to that immersion. It's got very high sides. You're sitting, low in the cockpit, for safety reasons, for survivability reasons. And the helicopter actually has stainless steel armor on the sides, which also help support. They become a structural feature of the aircraft as well in that section of the aircraft. So, yeah, that immersion, the bullet resistant or bulletproof glass on the canopy there, the flat windshield, which is reinforced glass there, really nice job, rendering this and recreating this experience, which again adds to that immersive factor. And of course, as a flyable aircraft, it's a challenge. Helicopters are much more tricky to fly, and I can't say I've had enough time in the cockpit, and there's reasons for that, which we'll get to in just a sec, but I'd like to spend some more time in this cockpit before I produce any more videos on it. Now, I wanted to say, I speculated about a week or so ago that I wasn't sure if they were going to get it out, but I had an inkling with Wags' last video that this thing was going to be released this week. I just had that feeling. I was like, this is ready to go, I think, in early access. If it wasn't this week, I thought it was going to be next week, and Wags, I don't know if he revealed something maybe, but whatever the theme of that content was, or the undercurrent, I had a feeling that it was going to be released, and maybe many of you thought the same thing. So shout out to Wags too, because he did let me know that he watches the newsletters every Friday, which is really cool. High praise indeed. And high praise really is deserving of Eagle Dynamics and the Hind team who have produced this helicopter. I think it's fantastic, and of course it lends itself to multiplayer, and of course it lends itself to some new operational considerations for players enjoying the game, which I think is fantastic. In addition to that, of course, it's 20% off right now, and in addition to that too, we have the free-to-play function in the game right now, which again is a stroke of genius from Eagle Dynamics, and that allows you, of course, to download a module or a map for 14 days and play it to your heart's content. Double up, download a map, download a helicopter, download a plane that you don't own, and fly it around and see if you like it, and that will help you maybe make up your mind on whether or not you want to buy it. And like I said, I think there's good reasons to buy this helicopter, even if it isn't up your alley. It's a nice thing to own. I think it's going to be a really fun aircraft to get to grips with. Russian technology is a little different from the West. I think that's what's cool about this aircraft. One of the things I learned in that walk around was just how capable Russian engineers are in producing a product within the limitations of, the technology that they had, and also the engineering philosophies that they implement in their designs. Where I think in the West we tend to sort of build things from scratch. We're gonna build this aircraft, and we're gonna build everything from scratch to serve a purpose. And Russians are kind of good at, hobbling together bits and pieces that already exist into a concept to limit production costs, and also to avoid having to recreate everything from scratch and reinvent the wheel. Hey, we know this radar out of the MiG-21 works. Let's plonk it into this. That kind of thing I think is really cool. And of course I know that the aircraft is very capable at operating in cold temperatures for the Russian climates and the theaters of war that it operated in. So again, this stuff has been faithfully recreated by Eagle Dynamics. Sure, there are some bugs. Sure, there's some work to be done yet because it's an early access module. There will be implementation of other systems and weapons and so on and so forth. So stay tuned for that. I will be bringing you more footage of the Hind and getting to grips with it. I have run into a problem. One, I'm really busy right now in the summer because I have projects that I have to do around the house and the yard, and our AC went out. So it has not been pleasant to fly in the evenings when it's 85 degrees in your office. The computer is cooking itself and producing more heat trying to keep cool. And that won't be resolved for me until July, according to my repair person who installed it. So anyway, I'm going to drink a lot of beer here. Cheers. And try to stay cool. I'm drinking a Czech beer right now, which it's not bad. Little Pilsner. Urquell, I think it is. Anyway, it's a nice little beer. So let's move on to the next piece of news, which of course many of you will have noticed from the video that I popped up the other day, which was the Syria map is now in the final version, or the final guise, and that included Cyprus. Now they've included numerous major cities, which I will not read out because I will butcher the names, but Eagle Dynamics suggests you get in combined arms and drive a vehicle around some of these new features on the map, which include actually large portions of southern Turkey, which I think is fantastic. And Turkey is another place that fascinates me. I love this ancient area of the world. These are places I'd love to visit at some stage. I love Turkish coffee. I don't know if you've ever had that, but it's fantastic stuff. In fact, I need to make some tomorrow. I've got the equipment and the ingredients. Love Turkish coffee. In addition, of course, we have 9 new airfields as part of Cyprus too that are worth checking out. So, get into a combined arms vehicle and go for a drive, or take off in the Hind and enjoy the scenery, because it's really nicely done. The level of detail here from Ugra Media is absolutely fantastic. So again, another map that you can download for free and try out for a couple of weeks if you haven't decided to purchase it, and see how it works on your system and whether or not it's something you're interested in. Now, good news, we've got a lot of sales on right now too. This is the annual, of course, summer sale. Right now, it is started. It's going to run until the 12th of July. Excuse me, I've been getting my a little bit tongue-tied there. Not enough beer or too much beer, maybe. Anyway, 12th of July is the ending period for that, and they're also going to be doing it as part of the Steam Summer Sale. So they're saying here, take advantage of this offer and receive 50% off most of the modules, and also most of the campaigns will also be included, except for some new ones, which we'll talk about in just a sec. So these are the highlights here. We've got 3 big heavy hitters here. 30% off the Viper, the F-18, which is fantastic, and getting close, I think, to, if Wags is listening and correct me if I'm wrong, but it should be very close this year, I think, to getting out of early access. We're right around the corner, if I'm reading his videos correctly and the information that I'm picking up. And also the A-10C2 tank killer, which is another fantastic aircraft. So 3 big hitters from Eagle Dynamics there. We also have the Thunderbolt. I'm not familiar with that. It is a World War II bird, of course, whose DNA extends into the A-10C. Tactical Pascal has been doing some work with campaigns on that from reflected simulations, and I believe also Lanky Pilot's doing some stuff with the Thunderbolt too. So check those videos out if you want to see that aircraft in action. We also have the channel map and the SuperCarrier, which is well worth owning. Fantastic module. It allows you to fly that F-14, of course, off the deck and land it, as well as the F-18, which is a great experience, very challenging flight experience, something quite different than landing at airfields, which is almost a doddle after, you know, a Case 1, or certainly a Case 3 landing, which my buddy Juice was showcasing this last week on the Air Warfare Group. And lastly, of course, we already mentioned this, Syria. So again, those modules are all 30% off, so there's really no excuse not to have one of those with that kind of pricing. Certainly download it for free and try it for a couple of weeks if you can't make up your mind, but by golly, there's some good stuff there. All right, moving on to a 20% discount, we've got the JF-17 Thunder. This is an aircraft I'm interested in. I haven't had a chance to try it. I'm going to, if time permits, I would like to try it out, maybe pick it up. I've heard good things about this aircraft from many, many people. So, and speaking of good aircraft, of course, 15% off heat blur simulations is magnificent F-14A and B variant Tomcat, which has received major updates this week. And if you're wondering why the patch was so big, it wasn't, as I mentioned, just because of the Hind. It was because of the numerous fixes and changes to aircraft like the Tomcat, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. Here we go, 50% off discount, 50% off, excuse me, off campaigns. This discount includes the Spitfire, the Big Show campaign, the B-51D, the Blue-Nosed Bastards of Bodny campaign, the Bf-109 K4 Jagdflieger campaign, the F-86F Hunters over the Yalu campaign, the FW-190A8 Horido campaign, Memory of a Hero campaign, the Huey, the Argo campaign, the Museum Relic campaign, the P-51D High Stakes campaign, the Mi-8 MTV2 Oilfield campaign, I want my Mi-8, and the Border campaign, another Huey campaign, Worlds Apart, Spring 2025 campaign, and lastly here, the FA-18C Hornet, the Serpent's Head 2 campaign. Again, those are all 50% off, so well worth looking into. Here we go, 30% off discount on these campaigns. The F-14A Zone 5 campaign, which is a fan favorite for the Tomcat, and I really enjoyed this one. This, of course, features voiceovers from Dave Bio-Baranek, and it's one of my favorite campaigns. It's very, very, very well done. And of course, it basically gives you a sort of red flag type training with the Tomcat, which is well worth considering if you're a Tomcat pilot. The Crew Part 1 campaign for the Mi-8, again, the FA-18C Operation Pontus campaign, Mirage 2000 Red Flag campaign, the F-15C, the Georgian War campaign, the Enemy Within 3 campaign, and another great campaign here from the FA-18C Hornet Raven 1 campaign. That's great. I'm about halfway, 3/4 of the way through that. It's a fantastic series of missions for that campaign. It's really well done. And lastly, rounding out the F5E Black Sea Resolve 79 campaign. So lots and lots of goodies there. Moving into the 20% off variant, here we go, the KA52 Pandemic campaign. I don't know anything about that, let me know. But again, some good stuff there. Now, as I mentioned, there are some new campaigns that aren't on sale. This includes the Wolfpack campaign for the P47D, the F-14 Tomcat Fear the Bones campaign. Now, this is a brand new campaign from Greg Gales, who runs Reflected Simulations. He's been promoting this on Facebook. This is an exciting campaign. It's a little bit more tongue-in-cheek, a little bit less intense than some of the other campaigns. Sort of a 80s throwback, and of course that lends itself, of course, to the F-14, no doubt. As many of you noticed, I'm a bit of an 80s fan. I love that synthwave stuff, and it's all coming back too, which is awesome. Anyway, check that out. Not on sale, but another interesting campaign. We have the F-16C Red Flag 21-1 campaign, and the Harrier Sky Warrior campaign, and the Rising Squall campaigns. Those are all new, the newest being, of course, the Fear the Bones from Reflected Simulations. Now, 50,000 hours, that sounds like a lot, but here's this, listen to this. According to Eagle Dynamics, they have taken more than 40 man-years of intense research, technology development, art creation, and groundbreaking coding with regards to the development of the Hornet. And the Hornet, of course, brings the first true multi-role fighter to the skies of DCS world, and equally impressive air-to-surface and air-to-air capabilities. Hands down, a great module. It's very close to completion right now, and maybe Wags can correct me, but I believe he has said that this will be out of early access. They have a few more things they need to do, but we are getting very, very close to it being released in its final guise. And that's exciting stuff. There are people out there that call this a noob aircraft, and that's an inaccurate statement, I think. It is noob-friendly in terms of its flight characteristics, and this is because it's fly-by-wire. But once you start delving into all the other things that this aircraft can do, it is a very much modern aircraft, one of the better aircraft in the game for modern air combat and air warfare, because of the integrated systems that it has, its ability to talk to other aircraft, and be a part of a modern war theater, which is very much a part of Western operations right now. Very much necessary to maintain survivability. So it's a really, really good aircraft, no question about it. So get your hands on that. Pick up the SuperCarrier while you're at it. It's worth it. Speaking of the SuperCarrier, well, we've got some good news about that. Now, it's still an early access period, of course, but the work continues, and what they're going to do is add the following things: Airboss Station, Briefing Room, Landing Signal Officer, or LSO Station, with PLAT, camera, and VR support. That's very interesting. They're also going to include combined arms integration. I don't know exactly what that means, how that's going to function, but yeah, that sounds interesting. And of course, the burble effect, which is now part of the F-14 modeling. So the burbling effect obviously is disturbed air coming off the back of the aircraft carrier. It's so large that it can create some, like I said, disturbed air, which can lower the sink rate of the aircraft. So that's something you have to manage as you're coming into land, as if the whole experience wasn't tricky enough. So they're working on that. They're also working off, really like this, wave off and bolter return to pattern radio messages. And get this, they're also looking at a functional barricade net too. So that's really cool for wounded jets coming back that they want to make sure they recover. Obviously, there's a lot of money invested in these aircraft. They can't just afford to throw them over the side like they did when they were leaving Vietnam. They want to keep these aircraft and the pilot safe. If there's an opportunity to recover the deck where an alternative airfield is unavailable, then they're going to try and do that. And one of the ways you can do it, of course, is to add that barricade net, which will trap the aircraft as it lands. Fantastic stuff. So, in addition, with that purchase, if you do pick up a SuperCarrier module, you'll also get the Russian Kuznetsov aircraft carrier, the Ali Burke class guided missile destroyer, and the Su-33 Flanker D fighter, which is fantastic. Now, as I said, numerous aircraft received updates as part of this patch. That includes the F-16, and the F-16, according to Eagle Dynamics here, has, of course, we know this, not only is it an exceptional air-to-air combat aircraft, because that's what it was primarily designed for, but it is capable of air-to-ground work as well. And this includes things like general-purpose bombs, rockets, canister munitions. I almost said musicians there. I don't know what that would look like, a musician in a canister. Anyway, Mavericks, laser and GPS-guided bombs, and more. The F-16 provides swing roll action in DCS world, and of course in a modern combat theater, that's an important role. And if you pop over to the Fighter Pilot podcast, there's been some good discussions recently about wild weasel rolls for the F-16 and just the general capability of the aircraft from real pilots. It's always fun to listen to their expertise and how that coincides with things being, as I said, faithfully recreated in DCS world, which is awesome stuff. All right, so that rounds out the newsletter. Like I said, there is a massive changelog. It's just too big for me to go through. One of the highlights I think worth discussing outside of some of the things that we have discussed is that reference to the F-14. Now, what they have done here, Heat Blue Simulations is added in the Burble, which we talked about, which is being worked on by Eagle Dynamics for the supercarrier in general. But they have also added some new physics modeling for the hook. So the arrestor hook can now actually be damaged, and if you were to take fire from the ground and return to the deck with it damaged, it can actually be essentially knocked off the aircraft if the damage is too severe. And it can also be damaged through poor trap recovery processes. So if you're a little too aggressive coming in with speed, you may not get a hook up here, or you may have the hook ripped right out of the aircraft too. So that is a really neat thing, and they've done quite a lot of computational work to make that whole physics process of landing much more fluid than what it was previously. Pretty sophisticated stuff. They've also improved the F-14's autopilot system, and again, there's too many things to go through. I think too, there's a signal now for night launches where you activate the lights. This lets the deck crew know that you're ready to launch. Again, lots of relatively what I guess you could argue are minor things, but again are very important for realism and create again another level of immersion. So again, I'd love to be able to go through all of these things. Really, it requires a separate video, but again, they've updated a lot of stuff for all the missions in 2.7 for weather. They've corrected carrier frequencies and carrier TACAN, yada yada yada. So again, the amount of changes here is too big to go through, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of things for this aircraft, and also the F-18, the F-16 has received some attention, and also some of the other third parties like the Harrier has received a lot of work. The Mirage has received a lot of work. So good stuff here from third-party developers getting on board and improving this game, which is looking really sharp right now under 2.7, whether you're flying open beta or in the stable version too. So if you're coming back from some time off and you're unaware, 2.7 with all the clouds and all the other visual goodies is now available in the stable version of the game too. So I think we can wrap it up here, because otherwise the video is going to be about 18 hours long and you're going to get sick of hearing my voice. So once again, thank you so much for all the likes and subscribes and the support. Don't forget to continue to do that. It really helps the channel chug along, as I say. A lot of stuff to go through this week, so I thank you for your patience and tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on some of the changes. Let me know your thoughts, of course, on the Hind and what Eagle Dynamics has done. As I've said in the past, there are some personnel from Eagle Dynamics who tune in as well, as mentioned with WAGs. So, be constructive with the feedback, help them out and provide positive feedback or constructive feedback as deserved. And participate in the community in a way that helps the game grow, because it benefits all of us. And don't also forget to tune into my partners over at the Air Warfare Group. Juice has been doing some great videos on Case 3 recoveries, and also the Bottle to Throttle series right now, where he interviewed a real U2 and B-52, former B-52 and U2 pilot recently. Nice little video there, and some good stuff going on over at that channel as well. So again, we'll wrap it up here. This is Prickly Hedgehog out. Take care, enjoy the weekend, and like me, try and stay cool, because it's going to be a miserable couple of weeks for me without AC, and my beer is getting warm, so it's time to drink it. Cheerio. Take care. Enjoy the weekend, guys. We'll talk to you next time.